Anyway, welcome to Self-Love Talks, everybody. It's brilliant to be here. I'm feeling pretty amazing today, glowing actually from the inside, feeling incredible. And I have a really special guest with me this evening called Paula Connor, all the way in Canada. And Paula and I recently became acquainted because you guys probably saw it actually. There was, Paula initiated a group of us, 6 women coming together, and we all spoke for a couple of hours on many different topics actually. Paula invited us, and it was called Divine Feminine Roundtable. So if you haven't seen that, go find it on YouTube or on my page. It's really, really cool, or on Paula's page as well. But it's really wonderful to be acquainted with new and brilliant sisters where I feel that synergy, feel that heart alignment. So I've invited Paula this evening to join me. Paula, I really love connecting with you again. The first time round was amazing. Second time round feels just as wonderful, like deeper. And everyone, Paula is a intuitive coach and a heart math coach. So I'm going to let Paula tell you what that is. Paula, go for it. Share with everybody what your background is.
Hi, everybody. So nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's always fun to connect. So I'm a certified heart math trainer and coach, and also a stress and well-being assessment provider. So I trained with the Heart Math Institute. So this is where science meets spirit. And basically using scientific research studies, I teach people how to get themselves into a state of coherence so they can de-stress the body, calm the central nervous system down, bring everything into alignment. But the spiritual part is, it's the connection to source through the heart. And that inevitably helps people develop their intuition as well. And then so they know what it feels like when they're connected in truth to source, and they can discern truth much better, because that's what we need right now in this world, is to know what is true and not what is a distortion. So that's what I do. I basically help everyone with the inside world. Yeah.
I totally love that. And it's especially helpful that it's got kind of a scientific name and it's got a scientific background, but it's science and source, which is incredible, right? It really validates it, because I learned about heart math, maybe years ago, and just understanding that the heart is the biggest source of intelligence in the body, proved scientifically. Like that's
it's exactly the heart
stuff. You can't argue with that, can you?
Not at all. No, the heart is the stargate. It's the portal. That's the way that you open the door to source, to feel the coherence and the song, the true song of the universe.
So amazing, because we were just sharing there, Paula. I'm sorry guys for being late. I was struggling trying to get the whole Facebook Live thing to work from the webinar, and the internet was just being weird, or something was being weird, and we were having a bit of a giggle saying that all the computery techie stuff has just been a bit of a pain in the neck lately. Anyway, but we're here. But you know, Paula and I were sharing, and we were talking about how we came to, you know, where we are now, what got us here. And I was sharing with Paula how I grew up with an enlightened guru, and all he ever talked about was the heart, was the truth within and the knowledge within. By going into the heart, that was source energy. And so I grew up with that, but that also made me in my upbringing very kind of off to one side and weird and not acceptable. It was too woo-woo, you know. And then when you were sharing, you came from the academia and then found heart math, and how that bridged. Can you just share with everyone what you told me about that, how you got there?
Yeah. So for me, it was all through books. I didn't have any sort of spiritual background. I mean, I was born in Wales, in Bridgend, Wales. And my grandmother, my father's mom, I heard them talk about mediumship, but I didn't know what any of that was. I hope you can hear me, because it shows that my internet is now unstable. But I learned this through books. And actually what happened to me was I went and did a Reiki course, like 2007, 2006, just to learn a little bit more about chi energy. I was practicing martial arts, so I knew sort of like peripherally what energy was. But I went and took a Reiki level 1 course, and that was the first time I saw an aura with the Reiki master. It was like, oh my God, I can see your aura. It was like just a momentary thing. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to start trying this meditation thing. I didn't know how to do it. It was kind of like Julia Roberts in Eat, Pray, Love. You know, I was scratching and all these thoughts, switching and whatever. And about the third time meditating, I had a Kundalini experience, actually. And I had this whole rush. I hope I'm allowed to say this live. But it kind of felt like an energetic orgasm. I had all this color inside, this rush. And I opened my eyes and I was like, what the was that? I don't know what that was, but I want more.
Yeah.
And I had no context for what I experienced. And so I was trying to find my Reiki master, but actually she was in Scotland taking a psychic course. So I couldn't get her for 3 days. And when she finally came back, she said, I think you had a Kundalini experience. And then I just started reading. What is this that I had? I was introduced to Drunvalo Melchizedek, the flower of life, and then started doing all the research on the chakras and whatnot. And that's kind of like how it blossomed for me. But it definitely wasn't raised by, you know, guru parents.
That's not normal though for most people. There's a bunch of us that have had that, but you know, it's not everyone's.
Yeah. Which is great because, you know, for me, it's like all paths lead back to home. You know, there's no wrong way, right? There could be a long way, but there's definitely no wrong way to get there, which is awesome.
No, but people have made it wrong. Like, that's what I loved about finding the Heart Math Institute was like, look, this stuff that is completely normal to me and it is true and real, incredibly real, and how much intuition you can access and knowledge you can access of the entire universe and everything. And we're going to come on to that and talk about, you know, the Gaia transmissions and what's been coming through from her, from Source, in a minute, which I'm really excited about. But you know, to have that then validated by, you know, science, because everybody worships science and believes in it, and if it's scientifically proven, it's real. But if you just feel it in your heart, then you're a hippie and it's not real. And it was really wonderful, that bridge for me, kind of, this is both, it's science and it's spiritual, and that the two are the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what science, so the whole heart math research was about resilience. How do we be resilient in times of change, uncertainty, challenge? And how do you self-regulate your emotions?
Yeah.
Because if we're going to do any work on healing our hurts, you have to be emotionally stable to kind of peek into those aspects. Otherwise, you're irrational and you can't reconcile, you can't integrate, you can't inquire. And so heart math, you know, it was developed for veterans and first responders, police officers, because, you know, my husband's a police officer, and an officer on average like 8 to 10 stress events a day. And most people, the average human being, might have one a month or one a week, depending on how much drama they allow in their lives. So it was developed to help that. But what they discovered is it really helped with self-awareness, because now you're a lot more aware of the thoughts.
As well, isn't it?
Pardon me?
Sorry, I totally interrupted you, but like it's self-realization as well to go into your heart. You see who you are on a much bigger scale.
Yes, and where you have denied love, where you have denied your self-love, which is totally in alignment with what you share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what, you know, people I think that they can fix a heart problem with their head, or an emotional problem with their head, and you know, you heal the heart with your heart, you know.
Yes, it's using your consciousness to be a servant of the heart. So you can use your head from a consciousness perspective, meaning, okay, I think these thoughts, it makes me feel this way, which is really heavy. Okay, I can choose a different thought, which makes me feel better. And that's the direction we want people to go, because we have so much evidence out there of things being pushed at us, and we're in reaction to that all the time. But when you can unplug from that reality and go in here to the home, where I haven't done any reading on religion or any of that, but the kingdom of heaven is within. When you go in here, you start to create your world, and you're projecting your thoughts and your dreams and your desires forward, more co-creative, because you can only do that in the now moment and from the heart. And you're no longer then reacting to what's being pushed at you. You can, it's like you deny that and you call it forth from within. And then you start getting, and then you start getting all kinds of evidence of that new way of being. So the other thing that heart math has discovered is that when you practice this, the synchronicities start to go through the roof. Yeah. Like it's uncanny. And I can give you one. I met, if I can, is that okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I met this really cool teacher from the Netherlands, and I met her, and she came to Vancouver for a women in business conference a couple of years ago. That's where we met, and she was a speaker there. And then 2 years ago in September or October, my husband and I go to the island of Tahiti. Okay, so we're in Moorea. And I get out of a Jeep on this lookout point in Moorea, and then I hear her go, Paula. And I turn to my left, and she's on the freaking mountainside in the middle of Tahiti. And she lives in the Netherlands. It's just, it's uncanny.
Yeah, because like attracts like, right? Hearts send out the biggest signals. So for manifesting, this is just a tip on the side. For manifesting, it's all about law of attraction and all this stuff. And often it's like, think the better thought. But actually, hearts are 10 times more powerful for sending out that signal. So when you manifest from a place of love, from that deepest heart's desire, from that gratitude, from that expansive place of appreciation, and where you're not really in your head, you're more kind of dropped in, right, in the heart frequency, then of course you start attracting like vibrations. And I reckon that's why we met and why so many of these wonderful soul connections start happening with each other.
Yeah, the picture they're showing me right now is that when your heart is singing, which is what it actually does through the electromagnetic frequency. So I'll share this. With every heartbeat, from beat to beat, a spark of electricity is created. And that actually comes from within itself. It creates that spark of electricity on its own. And then physics, by default, it creates the electromagnetic energy field. And that actually operates kind of like a transistor radar where we're broadcasting.
Yeah.
So imagine it like it's your heart song, how you feel is either you're singing into the universe or you're shouting into it, and then you just get more of that back. So what they showed me was, it's like you pluck the string of the song of the heart and it sings to everything. And it's like, it like brings like a flock of birds to you singing back. It's really cool.
That's absolutely beautiful. Thanks for explaining it that way. And it completely relates. Actually, I was listening to an Aboriginal grandmother this morning. Somebody sent me a video and she was talking about the song and the heart song for the dreaming. So dreaming in the new world with a heart song. So that's really beautiful that you've mentioned that. That's the synchronicity. But also, talking about home and that frequency, I'm going to kind of, I called this thing Gaia transmission. So I want to get into that area and talk about this coming home. And I'm doing this on a bit of a piggyback from last week, Paula, because I was doing this big homecoming update, all the messages I was getting coming through to help people at this time. And then we ran out of time and I was like, and next week I'll have to share it because I haven't got time now. And everyone was like, what, cliffhanger? So I was like, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't plan it. So I just wanted to kind of pick that up. And Paula, I'd really love to, feel free to kind of chime in and share whatever you're picking up as well. Absolutely. So, okay, where to begin? Oh my goodness. So first of all, I want to just give a little bit of context in this, in that I first started listening to Gaia, communicating through being a soul reader and reading other people's soul energy. So I mean, literally putting my hands on their energy field, on their chakras, seeing with my eyes, hearing with my ears, feeling with my heart, sensing with my guts, feeling with my empathy, like all tools in the box I'm using to connect with a person and see them, hear them, feel them on all levels, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, everything. So it's like seeing a vast library of a human's experiences, if you like, everything that they've been through. So I'm reading people and I start noticing that we've got a connection going up to what we would call divine masculine, which always seemed to be golden. And I guess a lot of people refer to that as God. And then I noticed this amazing thread, like golden energy, when it was working properly, going down through the core of the body and out through the bottom of the feet. And that down there was the divine feminine. And I would often see it represented as the Mother Earth, and literally seeing the earth and seeing how that person was anchored into their earth energies, anchored into the mother and Gaia, a bit like seeing the umbilical cord. And most of the time, almost every single, in fact, I'm going to say it, every single person, the energy was not gold. It was often mucky, gray, black, distorted, strong in some places, but it would go like this instead of coming down like clear and true and connected. And it's a bit like trying to connect the wires or the a stream between these two different frequencies of divine masculine, which is light, and divine feminine, which is still light, but it appears solid and it appears as darkness. And the divine feminine, I would often feel her energy to be like silvery, milky colored, really so richly, sweetly compassionate, and yet super strong, unconditional love. All of it was unconditional love, but it was like different frequencies of unconditional love, right, running through us. And so that's how I first started connecting with Gaia. And she would talk to me via other people's soul libraries, soul energy. And it was quite related to them. And I started learning history of things that had happened on this earth, and the history of these people's souls, and, you know, other civilizations and things that their soul memories had stored in them, which was kind of fascinating. And I had to check in with myself. I'm like, is this for real, or are you just completely nuts? But every single time I was giving, you know, telling people what I was seeing, they were like, this is completely true. I've never felt so seen and validated in all my life. And I'm, you know, they felt like, thank God I'm not mad because you're seeing me for how I really feel. So that built up the confidence. Years later, sorry, this is a little bit of a backstory. Years later, I'm sitting on the hill of Tara in Southern Ireland. And it was the time that there was a lot of road protests, and they were doing some road protests. They were, you know, going to build a road through the whole place. And I was sitting on this hill of Tara, and I was sitting there with a crystal, and I knocked it. I banged it 3 times, this big selenite crystal, 3 times on the earth. I don't know why, I just did it. And then she started talking to me. And I heard her name, Gaia, like emanating from the earth for the first time. And I was like, wow, that's really your name. You know, I thought it was just some hippie name. I wasn't so connected to the earth at all at that time in my life. Anyway, from there on, she started sharing with me a lot of things about her gestation period of us as her children, us as her. So it's like a symbiotic birthing of her rebirthing herself, as well as us being born. So it feels like we're separate. We know we're not, but we still experience that we are. And we think of the earth as a separate thing. And a lot of people don't even think of her as living, right? But it's like, here she is, this living, beautiful organism. And we actually are her. We forget that. We are her. You know, when our breathing stops, all that we think ourselves to be goes right back into the mud. Yeah, Paula, go.
No, I was going to say, I remember the day. Yeah, I sorry, there's a bit of a delay. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I remember the day I realized that she was alive. She was a live being. And it was like, oh my goodness, everything is alive that comes out of her.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. I love it's great to share. So yeah, exactly. And I know we're not the only ones have that experience. You know, at some point, lots of people have had that realization, but I just kind of wanted to give a backstory of how this has all come about. So she started talking to me, and this is like way back in, like, must have been 2007, 2008. And she was telling me about this time where her energetic grid, her blueprint, right? If we all know that everything in creation has a blueprint, like a template, exactly like you would have a blueprint for a building before you design, you know, before you build the building, you draw the blueprint of everything that's going to be in that building. And it's the same for us as human beings. We get our blueprint activated when we're being born, coming down through the birth canal. And Mother Gaia, she has a blueprint. And this blueprint is, you often see it on the beautiful pictures of the earth. You see the earth grid around her. And this energy has been dormant, a bit like she's turned down the dimmer switch. And I'm going to get to all of the bigger picture of why, hopefully towards the end of this, if I can fit it all in, because it's quite a big picture thing. And also I want to share with you why this is relevant. You'll discover why it's relevant. So her dimmer switch has been turned down so that the energies of the earth are like, ooh. And they're there, but really the more sensitive people feel it and not so many other people notice it. It's like it's underground, it's going unnoticed. And it gives the impression that Mother Earth is passive or not a living being, or that we can do whatever we like to her, right? It's like her power is dimmed right down, which essentially makes her vulnerable, makes her susceptible. But she was telling me at the same time, but this is also so that we, her children, can have an experience of having our own free will. Because if you can imagine, as her dimmer switch of her light, her energy, her power, her true self, if you like, gets turned up, and this blueprint gets activated and becomes like her grid, you know, activated and powerful, then we would not be able to have an experience, one, of being separate from her, two, of having a period of ignorance and not knowing who we are, so that we can have a journey of actually discovering who we are, right? There would be no journey. There would be no discovery. There would be no need for it, because we would just be in a constant high vibrational state, right? We wouldn't know anything else. We wouldn't know the full spectrum of what it is to be a human being. Does that make sense? So it's like her energy's been turned down. We get this experience of walking around in the dark going, who am I? Where am I? You know, what's going on? Why am I here? And she was like, you know, and during this time of her energy being turned down, then, you know, other people, you know, mankind, patriarch, all kinds of other beings where she's been in the susceptible state have come in and said, okay, let's build our own matrix, our own grid, and keep this energy of the divine feminine suppressed. Whether they did it consciously, knowing that, or whether they just did it because they didn't even think about it, and it was like, let's just own, let's put our stamp on this, let's own it, you know, own the planet, build our grids, build our roadways, build our whatever. And now it's satellite grids and all kinds of crazy shit being put all over this planet, right? And this is why everyone's freaking out right now about AI and 5G and, you know, the aliens taking over, and everybody, you know, cabal taking, whoever's taking over. And that this very kind of man-made artificial structure has been put over the earth. And she's been telling me the whole time, and she had a big chat with me the other day in the bath. She was like, don't worry, because as she turns up her power, which is happening right now, and we've been in it for some time, but we're really feeling it now, that energy, it's not like it will just break the man-made structures apart, but it almost uses them to kind of infiltrate and take over, if you like. It's like, you know, can you imagine what I'm trying to say here? Can you imagine the golden grid coming up, rising in power, going, okay, this is not a block to me and I don't have to break it, but it's like now this golden energy can infuse with the man-made energy and, you know, kind of work through those streams as well. If it's capable, and if it's not, it will break. Does that make sense?
Yeah, what the picture they just gave me was like fried wires. It's like as she awakens into her power, into her true essence, reclaims her own power, they're showing me frayed wires, like it's soldered, you know what I mean? So I'm seeing that those connections of control are being destroyed. And then the other part, the other picture that they showed me was, imagine that you're down and she's like breaking out of a shell kind of thing. And it's like, no, you will not damage me any further.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's
like
totally.
Yeah, it's like the mama bear energy. It's like mama bear. We need mama bear to step forward now and say, no, you will not. The women have to step forth and say, you will not, that is not allowed. And the men, because we love the men too.
Well, it's all the divine feminine is in every single human being. And she was like, you know, she was like, there's a certain amount, like any mother, where you let your kids run riot. You let them learn, you let them grow, you let them destroy stuff. But you've when you baby proof a house, you know that they're going to stick their fingers in the plugs. So you put the things in the plugs, you put the stair gate on so that they can, it looks like they're damaging stuff, but not really. Do you know what I mean? And she was like, there's only a certain amount of damage I can actually allow you kids, or we are her, to be honest. It's like we can see ourselves as children, but also we are her, manifest in form. And she's like, there's only so much I can do to compromise my energy and allow myself to not be in total integrity before I have to say, I love myself. And she told me these words the other day and I cried my eyes out. And she said, I love myself too much to let that happen. She said, but I loved you so much to give you the feeling that you had free reign to play and explore and create and destroy before, yes, exactly like you said, Paula, mama comes in and says, okay, kids, my will is now in command. It's, I'm the boss. It's time you all came home. You all come back home to me. You all come back home to the truth, because we're going to have a birth now, right? We're going to go through a big shift. Like you said, a metamorphosis. You said it exactly, like going through that metamorphosis. And in order for us to have that metamorphosis, which is super exciting, and I want to get into that as well, but she was talking about, in order for us to have the metamorphosis, we have to go through that cocoon phase, Paula, in the cocoon phase where everything looks like it goes to mush. And it's like, you don't know what's happening. You can't recognize yourself. You don't know.
Yeah. And you don't know who you are anymore. You don't know how you're supposed to act, it's like a complete loss of identity.
It is. And it's total transformation, because also, and my girlfriend and I were talking about this the other day, about how when a butterfly starts to come out of the cocoon, and this is us too, right? That if we were, as a person, were to peel the cocoon open to try and help the butterfly out, then what happens is it doesn't, as it's working to get out of the cocoon, it's pumping blood into its wings, and the blood going into the wings makes them strong and stand up, and then of course they can come and dry out. But if the butterfly doesn't have its own responsibility to get itself out of the cocoon, it doesn't put the blood into the wings and it can't fly once it's out.
Yeah, this transformation period that we're in is completely organic. It's natural. And we don't have to do anything. Like, we don't have to think about, I got to do this step and then that step. It's completely organic. And we know intuitively, like if you've had a baby, at the first time being a mom, being pregnant, we don't have any training on what to do, but we just know what to do intuitively. And that transformation process is exactly the same.
We do when we've been connected to our bodies. I don't know about you, Paula, but I had 2 kids as a home birth, and both my births were completely blissful with zero pain. And a lot of people don't believe me when I tell stories like that, but it's completely true, because that's one option, isn't it? You can have a birth where you trust your body because it knows exactly what it's doing and it's organic. Or you can have a birth where you're struggling, you're full of adrenaline, you're frightened, you're not wanting to let go of control, and then you end up needing help with that and kind of have a very different experience.
Yeah, I definitely did not have a pain-free birth. I was on the opposite spectrum. I'm a little bit older than you are as well, though, so things were done a little bit differently in those days. But it's we want to get back to trusting the body, because the body has incredible intelligence and has all the answers.
So do you see our metamorphosis now, Paula? Do you have a sort of a feel for what that looks like for everyone at the moment, or what is happening?
Yeah, the picture they just gave me is, it's like imagine a 1,000-piece puzzle and nothing is connected yet. So it's like the whole puzzle it's not connected, and in the right moment, in divine timing, it's like everything will magnetize and get into place. So if it's like everything's still up in the air, like we're in an infinite moment of pure potential right now.
Yes, I love that.
And there's so much activity happening. Like there's downloads and there's connections and it's like we're getting a software upgrade to the hardware, and it's in partial, like it's like 70% complete or something. We're still like kind of okay. Looks like we got about 30% more to go. That's what they're showing me.
Lockdown, right? It's a good job we're in lockdown to have all this, cleaning out of the old software and reloading or uploading of the new software.
Yeah, and it's giving everybody a chance to reevaluate what's important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Do you think we're going to actually have a biological change? Do you think we are in physical metamorphosis? I didn't prepare you with this question. I'm just curious if you have any feelings on that at the moment. Oh, I think
yeah, that does like it, because we're embodying more light, and as we do more of our own healing the hurt work, and I got a glimpse of this in 2014 when I was in the Amazon. I went to the Amazon jungle and did some work with the sacred plant medicine ayahuasca, and I was actually transformed into my cells and into my DNA, and I could see my DNA uncoiling, and I had pictures and symbols and numbers and all this information kind of coming out at me. And then I could see cells exploding with light. So absolutely, as we release the denser, heavier emotions of like hate, whether it's I hate myself that I did that, or a choice that you made that you beat yourself up about, as we let that stuff go. And as I say, the teachers that I work with, they use that, the metaphor that they use is that if you find something in yourself that you disliked or you have shame about, lift it like it's a baby bird to the light so that it can take flight and be reknown and recreated in a higher way. I totally went off on a tangent, Dan. I'm sorry about that.
That's so, no, don't be sorry. That's so beautiful. I really love that. Lift it like a baby bird.
Yeah, that it has its potential to be lifted. Because the metaphors. Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, because to be honest, I thought this was going to happen sooner. I really thought this was going to happen more around 2012, because I was getting such intense communications, visions from Gaia showing us. And when it didn't happen in 2012, I was like, oh, it was like I a little bit doubted what I'd been seeing. And I was like, okay, I just need to be more grounded. Let's just get on with being practical. Let's get on with, was doing, raising my kids and doing events and stuff. And then recently it's like it's all come back in so thick and so fast, so intensely. And it's like all the things, and I think you were talking about dreams and visions you were having years ago as well. And it's like suddenly it's like this is happening now, and actually seeing the lightening of our density, I've been watching DNA changes. I've been shown how our DNA is changing. And what's happening, not just within each cell and each part of our DNA, but what's also kind of, is it microcosm or macrocosm, where what's happening on the inside is also happening on a universal level, with our planet, with our galaxy, with our universe, and with other universes. And and like you said, you described it like a jigsaw all coming together. I was seeing it like cycles within cycles within cycles that are starting to line up. And I know this might sound really bonkers, but this is what she showed me the other day. She said our DNA has memory in it of when we were in ancient civilizations. So I was having memories like, I don't know, when my kids were about 5, so this was 15 years ago, I was having flash memories of being around 10,000 years ago. I was remembering what I looked like, where I was, and it was visceral. It was like almost I could touch it. And also some people remember being in Atlantis, or know that they've had abilities in the past to be able to instantly manifest, or to move objects with their mind, or to be, you know, is that called telekinesis when you can do that? And
Yep.
you know, do you know what I mean? Some people, quite a lot of people are like, why can't I fly? I remember almost when I could fly. Why can't I fly? Do you know what I mean? So even though we don't remember, there's something, and I've seen it in the DNA, where we have had these experiences. Obviously not every soul on the planet, but many of us old souls have the memories of being in certain ancient civilizations. And you know, some people may even have them, you know, we all have the memory of, if we came from cavemen, that's where we came from, or different aspects of civilization as human beings have evolved and reincarnated. And we've seen the rise of civilizations and then fall, and then the rise of another one and then fall. And that's happened a number of times on this planet, right? And history shows us that. So what she was telling me is that all these different time points in our blueprint, that this one's awakened and then gone back down, this one's awakened, gone back down. She said what's happening now is all the parts that worked, let's say they were experimental civilizations, including this level of our density, and you know what we've learned in the last several thousand years. Gaia was like, well, what's happening now is the parts of your DNA that really worked, where there was a great deal of harmony, all of those parts are being reawoken in the DNA and kind of strung together, like they're being wired together, if you like, so that we are working from all of the parts of us so far in our incarnation that has been prosperous, that has been beneficial, that has been in harmony. And all the parts of us, you know, where we've got carried away with our egos, and we've done genetic engineering, we've done all kinds of weird and crazy stuff that really, you know, wasn't necessary. Those parts aren't being activated. It's just the good parts, if you like. And so we're actually going through a metaphysical process and an actual reawakening. And she said it's being accelerated super fast at the moment. And what accelerates a human evolution is when there's an impending threat to the entire species. Not just right? Are you getting this as well, Paula?
100%.
100%. My body.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll add to that, because humanity, and this will, I'm hoping that this will help everyone feel much better, is humanity has decided as a collective, we will move forward. So it doesn't matter what happens, we've decided. And of course, Mother Earth is supporting that with what you're sharing.
Yeah.
100%. Like they kind of showed me a spiral as you're talking. So spiral of DNA, and then all of those components that you were talking about, all that pure harmony, higher wisdom.
Yeah.
It's getting lit like that puzzle piece. Those are the things that are coming together.
Exactly.
And the Schumann resonance, I think last week it was peaking at like 74 or something.
Saw that. It was off the scale, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it feels, and when it peaks like that, that's where perhaps those folks that haven't gotten used to tapping in, that's when they can really tap in, and they can remember what it feels like to be connected. Because you talk to Mother Earth, I feel very connected. She doesn't speak to me like you, like in that way. When I'm in nature, I feel like I'm in the bosom of the mama, like so supported, so loved, so nurtured. And there's no hurry to get out of the forest. You know, when you're walking in the woods, it's like you could stay there all day, and the wind sings to you and the birds sing to you, and everything is just so beautiful. Even if it's raining.
Well, it is the heart chakra, isn't it? I mean, Earth is the heart chakra of our galaxy. Like you said, she has a song. You know, you're talking about the song of the heart and it having a certain resonance. And it's like our whole planet has that resonance, that vibration of absolute unconditional love, just like the heart. I know you know this. And then when I've listened to, I know because I say things that are a bit strange, but when I've listened to other planets, it's like they all have a different frequency and they relate to different organs in the body. Like some, I can't remember which ones now because I never wrote this down. But when I was hearing it, it was like, okay, so one planet resonates with the liver, one planet resonates with the digestive, the stomach, and it's like we're living in a body, and the galaxy feels like a body, and we're on the heart chakra of the galaxy. So here we are, incarnated as actual walking, living love, like heart frequency, as Gaia is, and as she is really showing us right now, she's really manifesting, isn't she? She's going, okay, I'm not dimming anymore, I'm turning myself up full volume. And she was saying, let's go home, guys, we're going home.
Because it's time. Because this was, it was really evolve or die.
Yeah.
That was, we were faced with a choice. What would you like to do? We would like to move forward and know ourselves in truth. So it's, and all of these abilities that you're talking about, telepathy and telekinesis and true knowing, discernment, and many, many more, those are our birthright, and they're going to come back online for everyone. It's going to come back in line precisely at the moment when it's required, so that we can discern what the deceivers are doing, because it's so confusing right now, right? I mean, there's so much being pushed at people and they don't know what to believe. And so that's why it's so important to get in touch with that your inner wisdom, because it's going to guide you as we move through this transition, as Mother Earth powers up and these abilities start coming on board. Folks are going to need some, okay, what on earth is happening to me? I can see things I couldn't see before.
That's happening. Into people. Yeah. Have you noticed, like, even in the last few years, more and more people that's happening to?
Yep.
And, and it's weird, but it's like everybody has that as children, in my opinion, Paula. We're all born like that, wide open, switched on, all these abilities, and if they're not validated and not acknowledged and used, they have some kind of atrophy, or they just get switched off, or we don't even know that they're there. But as the earth frequency is being turned up, it's like, we start embodying what we really are. Things that have been kind of offline for us or switched off are also the powers getting turned up. So it's completely natural, and it's great that you validated that for everyone as well. It's completely natural to start being able to feel things, feel more. Paula, can you talk about that? Because some people, like, when we start to feel more and see more, it can be pretty scary, can't it? What would you suggest that people do with that? We've got a little bit of a delay.
Let's set it down because it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's a delay. It's my end, unfortunately.
I can hear you again now. You're back.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have shut down the feeling centers. They've built, as my business partner Zisa says, they've built walls up around the heart to protect themselves. Because again, we've got all kinds of evidence out there as to why we need to protect ourselves. And like, if you look at a police officer as an example, they have to shut their heart chakra down to do that job, because they can't fall apart if they're dealing with someone who's just been victimized or, encountered an assault of some sort. They have to shut the heart down to be able to function.
It's also not part of society, is it, for us to go out and just have love and compassion for everybody, abusers and victims, and just say, look, guys, you all need some love and you'll all be fine. We haven't been allowed to do that in this society at all. It's like, it's been very kind of good guy, bad guy, hasn't it?
No, my yeah, and the women, I mean, and they're going to take over another company and put like 1,000 people out of work. But they don't have any compassion for that. Whereas a woman, their intuition might be, that's not fair to do that. There's got to be a better way that we can create this shift or what have you. So the emotions have been you know, kind of not allowed, because you can't have an emotional overreactive woman, or, and boys have been told they can't cry. So they were taught from the beginning that it's not safe for them to express how they feel.
Mm.
But that's what we have to get back to. We have to get back to feeling stuff. And here's the thing though, if you feel it, it releases immediately. If you can, and you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in the muck, but if you can feel something and face it, then it's like it immediately gives it permission to be released.
Yeah.
So it
Well,
doesn't
that's
stay.
called emotion, isn't it? Energy in motion. If it's not in motion, it's going to get stuck and feel painful and bad. And if it's in motion and it's moving and living and you're breathing it, you keep flowing. It keeps all moving through. Oh, sorry, your internet keeps going out a little bit, or maybe it's mine. So what would you say to people?
Yeah,
So
because it's in the tissues, all traumas, and I've lost you completely for a moment.
gosh, I don't know if it's my internet or yours. Sorry, Paula.
It's probably mine.
I lost you for a moment there.
I didn't hear anything you said, but I can hear you now.
I was just saying, yes. So one, it's been, people have been taught to protect their hearts, and we've been told we have to protect our hearts. But then once we start opening our hearts, which feels really vulnerable, but it's needed in order to be who we really are, and to have this feeling of coming back home. Because I know so many people, it's like, oh, they're just desperately wanting peace. They're desperately wanting happiness in the world. They're desperately just wanting love. And to have this feeling of coming home. Have you experienced that? I've almost been feeling homesick, you know.
Absolutely. That is the heart is the gateway. Yeah. Yeah. Once again, there's a delay. I'm sorry. Once you connect through your heart, that's when you know you're home, because the heart, once you make that handshake, like that agreement, I want to know me as I truly am, the heart will show you you're never alone, and you can tap into that at whenever you want to, whenever you're feeling low or whatever, you can tune into that just by going within, and once you feel it, you know it, and you can't unknow it, and it just continues to get stronger and bigger.
Exactly. So what you thought was vulnerable and weak suddenly becomes your superpower, because love is the superpower, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Be brave enough to feel it, brave enough to open the doors and go home and stop suffering.
Exactly. Indeed. And I think I shared this on the weekend. Humanity's suffering can come down to like one idea, and that's that they're separate from their source.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest lie we've ever agreed to.
Yeah. Well, we kind of had to, so that we could have an identity of separation and have an experience of being a separate being, so that we've got a journey to go on. Otherwise, if we were all oneness all the time forever, we would never be human. So I kind of like that, you know, we've had this sense of separation, because we've got to explore, you know. It's like we can know that which we are by experiencing, you know, what we're apparently not. So it's all, like you said, our souls all chose this. We all said, let's be part of this game, right? Let's do this thing. Let's have this experience. Let's see how dense and solid we can become and forget who we are, and then remember and turn up the lights and come back home again and go, ta-da! You know, I'm back. Here we are. So good to see you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what, Gaia? Can I tell you something that's a little bit cosmic as well? Because this is the thing, that this is the part where I actually stopped. Right, we've given you quite a lot of precursor, and but this is why I really wanted to share with you. And some of you might just say, you know, Tara, you've gone too far. I can't believe you anymore. And if that's what you feel, then so that's fine. But Gaia showed me, like I said, back in, I think it was 2012, 2011, that we were moving. We had gone as, like, imagine the universe and where Gaia, our planet, was born in the universe. And let's just say it's here, right? Let's just say Gaia was born here in the universe. And she's been on this trajectory, and I'm just illustrating here, having a journey of moving away from where she was born in the universe. And we got to a point where it felt as far away as possible as we could possibly be, as close to the edge, as close as to our destruction as we could get, as far, you know, as lost in our amnesia as we could get, to completely forget who we were, like on this cycle. And then she's been coming back, and we've been having this, you know, age of awakening, and, you know, what's been going on for the last, you know, however many years. And she said, we're now getting to this part in the universe where, you know, when you've gone on a journey and going there seems to take so long, but when you're on your way home, it seems to go faster. You always notice that the journey home is always quicker, right? And so she's like, we're in this point now where we are going through, let's call it a vortex. We could call it a gateway or a solar gateway, where we are going faster through the universe than we've ever gone before. Not just our planet, obviously, in our solar system is traveling, and maybe you're a NASA person and you can verify this or debunk it, but this is what she's been showing me. We've been going hyper fast through the universe to go back to the place where Gaia was born, where she was first, that first big bang moment, and she was created, or even the conception from the creator source of her coming into existence. And we're going back to that place. And so within her cycle being completed, we also have cycles being completed in us, like cycles within cycles. So lifetime cycles, soul cycles, how all the stories from all of our lifetimes all start to come together and come back to oneness, and come back to, you know, making sense, making peace, coming back into harmony. And as we do that, and also harmony with one another, so it's about not making peace within and then making peace with one another, right? And as we're doing this, our frequencies are getting raised, because we're not just coming back where the end meets the beginning like this. I can show you, like on, you know, where the first bead meets the last bead. It's like we come back to that point, but we also go to the next level. We also, like you said, Paula, with the DNA, we go up the next spiral. So it's like a completion of a cycle, but it's not fixed. It actually spirals, but we get the sense of completion. And as we're kind of hurtling through the universe, coming back to this home point, we can all feel it. And she said, you are traveling so fast that the best thing for you to do is not try and understand everything that's being, what do you call it when you get a software and you're taking it out of the hardware, when you're taking an old
deinstall.
Yeah, when you're right. So so at the moment old programs are being deinstalled, and that's where some of the battles are happening out there on the astral plane, and the 4D people, and, you know, all the, you know, draconians and whatever. They're trying to keep that installed. But what's actually happening is we're getting programs uninstalled and new ones uploaded, like you were saying, super fast, preparing us not only for the completion, so that we're complete in our soul, but preparing us for the next level, right? So we're having a vibrational shift, a frequency shift, a physical density shift, a mind shift, everything, soul shift, everything shift. And we're going through this vortex super fast. And she said, it's like if we were going warp factor in the Millennium Falcon or something, you put your seatbelt on. You don't try and see everything that's going past really fast. You'll go mad. Your fuses will blow, right? You can't compute that much information. So she's like, just stay simple, stay close to Mother Nature, stay close to the earth, keep your head down, you know, be humble, and just put your seatbelt on and watch the show. Like, don't get into it too much. Don't try and understand everything, because you'll blow your fuses. And she was like, you know, we're literally physically being taken home to where our souls were born, where she was born. So that's the first part. There's another part, but how does that sound to you so far? Paula, can you relate to that? I'm wondering if anybody else can relate to this. What do you think, guys?
Absolutely. You basically in a beautiful way. Yeah, sorry, there was a delay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
So you basically described the precession of the equinoxes, which is scientifically the planet, right? But there's I don't know if the listeners are familiar with Bashar, Bashar, the way that what you just explained, the way he explained it is, imagine you're pulling back on a slingshot. So we've pulled back the rubber band so far into the darkness, like where you said to the edge. So we got so far back here that when we just swung forward so fast and so forward into the light, which is awesome. And yeah, we just need to breathe and relax, because this is natural and organic and it's exciting. It's like, I'm super stoked. I don't, it's cool.
I love that word, stoked. I'm stoked.
That's my favorite.
Is that an Australian word?
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I
Okay,
totally
so
relate to
else
everything you said.
Who's Bashar?
Who is Bashar?
Yeah, Bashar.
Oh, Bashar. So Bashar is channeled by a Canadian, and he is actually he's a gray hybrid, and he lives about, so he's like an extraterrestrial that, and his wisdom and information is brought through a Canadian, but I think his name is Daryl Anka or something like that.
Okay.
And and he just brings information through to some really powerful teachings on belief systems, and he's pretty cool.
Awesome. So I knew that there'd be somebody else seeing the same thing and could validate it, because she showed me that ages ago. And I haven't really talked about this because I've just been promoting very grounded I Love You Me method, which is super pure, super simple and amazing for everything that we're going through now. But this is what she was showing me. And then the other day, can I tell you the next part? Because she told me, as we're now kind of coming to that completion point and preparing to go on to that next spiral upwards, if you like. And there you go. There you go.
So this is Touched by the Dragon's Breath, which is describing everything that you know intuitively. This book, Michael Harrington.
Would you?
So anybody that wants to check
for us? Oh, that is perfect. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There you go. So it's brilliant. See, I know that there's a lot of us plugged into this, and it's really great to kind of be connected with other people who are going, yep, I see that too. That's brilliant. So what she told me the other day in the bath, she said, so what's happening now is we think maybe that we're going into this 5D, which is a frequency of absolute love. But she also showed me, as any of us who've been working with angels or working with higher dimensions or frequencies or different, densities of light beings or whatever, we know that there's, and also just, if you don't, you understand that there's different frequencies of love. It's still love. Like I explained this earlier. This is the reason I explained it when I said there's the divine masculine, which feels golden, and then the divine feminine, which feels silvery. And they're both unconditional love running through us, but it's a range. It feels like a range of frequencies of love, like a flute has a, it's the same key, if you like. It's not musical, so I don't know if I say the right terms, but then you have different notes within that key. Is that the right way of saying?
Yeah, notes within an octave.
Right, there you go. So we have all these different ranges, these different frequencies or octaves of love. And Gaia was saying what's happening now is with many people are, being pulled literally through that fourth dimensional vortex, like come out of your mind, come out of the imagined, come out of the, false perceptions, and come into your heart, come into truth, come into source energy of that unconditional love. And the fifth element, the fifth dimension of that unconditional love. But she says what's happening is we're being prepared to exist on a multi-frequency scale of love, and that we can move up and down. So whereas we've only been third dimensional, or most people experience themselves just to be third dimensional, just physical, nothing more than that, that's our range of experiences being expanded. So you will know yourself, yes, to be physical, but your physicality will look different and feel different, and everything will have new ranges of color, new spectrum, new frequencies that you've not yet seen, that we know exist because scientists tell us that they're there, ultraviolet, all these different frequencies. But we will actually be able to see those and interact with them. But also we will be able to move through our densities. So we can be in fifth density, sixth density, seventh density, eighth density, ninth, and we can actually transition and move and change our own density change our own vibration, a bit like playing that flute, so that we can go home and, you know, go and connect with our Pleiadian brothers and sisters, or we can come back to Earth, or we could go somewhere else and we can travel and have a much broader range that's still human, but it's like the new human. It's like the design has been perfected. This is what we were always designed to be. The blueprint is fully activated. You know, it was always in the plan. And here we are on this new range. And of course, there's more after this, but this is our point in history right now, is that we will all be experiencing, we'll all be on this new playing field, if you like, with these different abilities, so that people can see their wings and feel them. They can, you know, go, I always knew I could fly, and now I can. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense to you, Paula.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And on a practical, like to bring it a bit more down to like, how does that, you know, make my world better if I walk around, is your connections to the animals will be so much more communicative. Because I'm going to in my yard are becoming more self-aware. They're sitting on the ledge of my car and looking in the side mirror. And on, seriously, and I've got bird poop down, like streams of it, like my car is crying. Because the birds are sitting there and they're looking at they're looking in the mirror.
That's hilarious.
That before. So that your communication with the animals will be, your communication with the animals, which will be a lot more solid with nature. You'll perceive more beauty. And the biggest thing is when you move to that level, fear is not existent.
It's just not existing, right? It doesn't exist.
There's no fear. So we can learn our lessons and our journey in a much higher way. We don't have to have fear anymore.
Well, it's like complete liberation. You know, C.S. Lewis was ahead of his time when he wrote those Narnia books. I don't know if it's because I grew up listening to my dad tell me the Narnia stories, but I was like, of course animals can talk. You know, why would anybody eat them? They're, you know, you can, we can understand the animals, they can understand us. And it's totally true. We had a fox outside our house a couple of times in the last week, which just sitting on the wall by the front door, just yowling at the window, looking at us for ages. We're like, what, fox? What do you want?
Yeah, it's like it's like yeah, we become a lot more in tune with nature. It's like we know each other. She knows us, we know her. So the whole experience is going to change for the better, which is awesome.
And you were saying just before we came on live, you were saying you remember when you got your wings as well.
Yeah, you want me to tell you my dream?
Is that okay? Is that I bring that up?
Yeah, it's awesome. So I remember, it was a lucid dream. I was aware that I was dreaming, and I was kind of like, it was like a square room, and over here there was like a misty, smoky something, and I was like kind of getting ready. I was like, you know, like an athlete kind of like gets ready. And then I stepped into it. And it was like, oh, like that when I moved into the energy. And I looked to my left where there was a window, and I could see in the reflection that I had these huge angel wings. It was awesome. That was it. I was like, I got wings. Yippee.
But it's real, right? Do you go, are you just having a hallucinogenic moment? Or are you just being an over imaginative, you know, child? Or does that feel real to you? How does it feel?
Oh, 3 years ago, and I'm definitely not a child, so my inner child was absolutely delighted. But no, that was just a couple of years ago, and no, I don't think I'm imagining it at all. It's absolutely, because I support love, I support life, so of course I have angel wings. Everybody has them that supports life and is passionate about creation and beauty, and because we can just do a much better job, right? We can do such a better job. Absolutely. And I'm excited to get cracking on creating beauty that supports everybody and nobody gets left behind, you know?
You know, if anything, maybe this is, another way of framing this is saying it's the time of the inner child, because all of our inner children are little angels, aren't they? Like absolutely pure, children love unconditionally, without a thought, without a question, no hesitation. They'll forgive everything and don't. It's like nothing. Of course I forgive you. It's not even a thing. You know, they're pure love, and children are absolute angels. And we all have that part of our energy field of the angelic realm, you know, and that's got multiple frequencies as well, you know, multiple densities of that angelic light, as we know, like different different kinds of angels, and we all have that as part of who we are, but not everybody kind of embodies that, do they? Not everybody says, okay, I know that I'm angelic and that's part of my normal frequency, but our inner child does. Like you said, your inner child was having a best day when you got your wings.
Well, that's because the inner child lives in wonder. Like life is wonder. It's like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen today, right? There's so much excitement. And as I was sharing before, if you're so focused at what is being pushed at you, then it's like that robs you of that more expansive, magical, miracle experience that we all can claim. And that's the thing. You can claim it. You have to, you have to believe that A, it's available for you, and B, you can have it.
Yes.
Right. And then when you claim it, yes, I want a relationship with my source. I want a relationship with my heart. I want a relationship with the angels. The entire universe adjusts itself. Like it's, Tara said yes. Yay, Tara said yes. Let's bring her wings, and her life becomes magical.
She's ready. I know,
exactly.
right? And like you said, I think you were talking about this at the beginning, or you said it's our birthright. You were talking about the heart and knowing as our truth is our birthright. I think you said that on the live. You might have said it before we came on. Oh, sorry. But yeah, totally. It's like, and all of this talk of what's happening with the children on this planet, all of the torturing, the rape, the abuse, the horrific things that have been done to children on this planet is truly sickening. And whether it's happened to children, who are children now, or it happened to us as children, or it happened to our ancestors as children, and how many children have actually been robbed of their light, been robbed of their innocence, been robbed of their, that beautiful angelic energy because they were wrongly treated, totally abused. And how at the moment all of that is coming to the surface for all of us to heal. So, it's healing our own inner child, it's healing the abuse of our own history, our ancestors healing through us, and healing the inner child, the children that are being released from these tunnels, the children that are coming up to the surface, all the the Me Too movement, all the people that are saying, yes, I've experienced that level of abuse. I think is on one hand it's incredibly devastating, on another hand it's incredibly beautiful, because it means
it's liberating. It's because it's being brought to the surface, because we are so busy, it's easy to not look, that and when you're really wealthy, you can hide stuff, in your gated home, and on your private yacht, on your island and whatnot. Time out, go to your rooms. It's time to look at what you've done. The crayon all over the wall. Or I remember when I was a little girl, my mom wallpapered the bedroom. I remember she wallpapered not like neat to the crack. It was like around. And I remember I was like poking holes in the corner of the wallpaper as a little baby in my crib, right? So it's like this is the time of the reckoning. What have you created? And we don't need to dwell in it. We just love it free. And that sounds deceptively simple, but that's all that's required, because what you damns you back. What you put in darkness, you tether to. We have to see it so it can be released. Yeah. And then when it's released, that's when we can shift up an octave.
Exactly. And that's when you get the liberation. That's when you get the wings. That's when you get the higher realizations. You get all those extrasensory awarenesses, everything starts to make sense, doesn't it, when you come into that alignment, if you like. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. It is the time of the divine inner child really, coming alive in every single one of us. And for me, just, remembering, when I listen to Gaia, she's just like, you're a daughter, you're my daughter, but you're also me. That purity, that beauty, that absolute love, that simplicity. Yeah. And just being a child of creation, it's like, oh, yeah. And I'm completely unconditionally loved, and we all are. And just remembering that through everything, it's like, because we can get into looking at the dark stuff as well, and like imagining a whole bunch of things are going to happen and almost giving it power, can't we? But we can, like you keep saying as well, come back into your heart and just love yourself, trust yourself, know that you're loved, know that there's a bigger plan, know that there's so much power in the heart center than anywhere else in this world, anywhere.
And I feel like I need to share this with everybody that's listening. If something very, very dark is brought to your awareness, have your ego step aside for 1 second. It's too much for the small self. It's a big burden to bear. So step aside and allow source to look at, like, say, okay, God, are you seeing this? Or source or universe, whatever word you want to use, but are you seeing this? Can, I'm giving this to you to please, can you deal with this? It's too much for me.
Help.
And then we're not going to damn it, because we want to, right? We want to beat them up, or how dare you hurt that child or what have you, but give it up to source to deal with. And because she can take care of it. It's too much for us. And then it can get transmuted, because we're really translators of vibrational energy in the higher realms. We witness it, and then it gets dealt with up there.
And the more that we let go and let love, the quicker and easier this whole rebirthing metamorphosis thing will happen. It's like, get out of the way. That's how I had a blissful birth, by the way, is just completely getting out of the way. No ego, no control, just letting it happen without me doing anything. And that's how it ended up so blissful, literally doing nothing except in just trusting the process. So I feel like exactly what you said, the best way through everything right now is to let go, let love, and just trust the process. And every time you feel yourself going into, I need to control, I need to fear, give it up, bless, and just come back to your heart.
Yeah, because the purpose of fear is to recreate more fear. And what you fear, you allow to govern you.
And none of us want that, do we? We don't want all of the fear stories, and none of us want those fear stories being real. We just want them all to just flow on by.
And they were all created by design to keep us small.
Yeah.
They
were, and the whole beautiful design. Paula, we've been on here for over an hour now. Is there anything that you want to share before you go? I'd love people to go and check out your work and check out your website.
I don't think so. I'm just so grateful to chat with you today. I hope that this has served whoever,
I think we keep going, couldn't we? We could chat for ages, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure.
There's been 62 comments so far. I actually can only see 4 of them at the moment. And Donna Bailey saying, we know we were robbed and we love it free. Someone earlier was talking about Nat Green says she's crying. Donna's celebrating the heart, singing. Somebody else had posted the comment earlier about the little bird that you talked about.
Okay.
And they loved that analogy. So I think generally, listen, I know that whenever I come on here, like attracts like, and we all come together. We're all like vibrational souls. We're all interested in our heart. So, and Paula and I, it's really wonderful when we share our experiences, we share what we know, even if it sounds a bit wacky or out there, as some people think that mine are, but to me, they're completely real, as Paula and her wings, completely real. And when we share these things, it's like, I think it helps give other people that validation, that confidence that what you're feeling is real, allowing all these extra sensory awarenesses to come out, allowing your healing to come out, allowing your awareness to tell you what's going on, plugging into your own wisdom. And hopefully by us doing this, it just helps validate you that none of us are mad, none of us are imagining. This is real, this is where it's at. And just to stay here and have a really wonderful metamorphosis time together, because it's really exciting.
Yeah, it's wonderful. This is very cool. So, the last thing I would share is when you see a structure collapsing, oh my goodness, what's happening? The world is falling apart. Yeah. Celebrate, because the building has to come down so we can rebuild it on a solid foundation with heart. Anything made without heart is going to fall apart. And that's a beautiful thing, because we can do such a better job.
That
bless you. Thank you.
True. That is absolutely true. Let it fall. I totally agree. Paula, you're a complete angel. It's really lovely to be with you. I hope we do this again. And loads and loads of love to you. Thanks for being here. Bye, everybody. Love you. And I'll see you soon. See you next time.